Hey everyone, welcome to Brewing on a Budget. As always, I am Scott and my wonderful assistant.
Abby.
Hey Abby.
Hello.
So for those of you who've never seen this before, what this is we make very cheap decks, usually around 10 tickets, sometimes less, sometimes a little more, and we run them usually through the tournament practice room. But this time, we have a deck that we've already run through the tournament practice room and people voted for, and we're going to run it through some two-mans online.
Oh.
So yeah, before we get started, I just want to go over what the deck is and some changes that we made from the previous iteration of this deck.
Okay.
So first of all, I don't know if you've noticed, but around, at least online anyway, everyone seems to be playing blue-white Delver decks or white-blue human decks. So I've really had to fine-tune the deck to have a decent matchup against that deck, because originally, usually what this deck wants to do, just in case you don't know, is get down a Sundial of the Infinite, where you can end your turn, and then use either a Mimic Vat, so that way the token does not exile during your end step, you end it when the trigger goes on the stack and you keep the token forever, or you have a Glimmer Point stag, where you exile one of your opponent's permanents, and then when the trigger goes on the stack, during your end step, you end the turn, and the permanent is gone forever, even if they kill Glimmer Point. And of course, the deck works best when both of these are combined together, and you're destroying one of your opponent's permanents every single turn.
Excellent.
And the deck also has Master Splicers, which work very well in the same manner, because they keep giving all your golems +1/+1/+1 as you keep making them, and the tokens stick around. And any of these three guys are just awesome on the vat in general.
Yeah.
That's pretty self-explanatory. But anyway, some changes that we made from the first iteration of the deck is we put in some Inquisitor Exarchs. This Inquisitor Exarch, when he comes to play, you can either have your opponent lose 2 or you gain 2, so he's really good against mono red decks, because we just got run over by mono red before we had time to get our combo really going. So this guy just comes down, he gains you some life, he blocks a Stromkirk Noble or whatever, and he just, buys you some time to get to 4, 5, 6 mana so that you can start really getting your engine going. And then another change that we made is we took out the Singleton Archon of Justice and we replaced it with a Razor Hippogriff, because I wasn't really happy with Archon of Justice. Glimmer Point Stag plus Sundial of the Infinite does what he does way better, and Razor Hippogriff is good because now a lot of the decks are playing Runechanter's Pikes and swords and exactly, lots of other equipment that people want to destroy. People are running a lot of Artifact Hatred in their sideboard. They're running
Ancient Grudges
and Divine Offerings and more slimes and whatever. So people will happily bring in those against us when they see what our combo is, and Razor Hippogriff is just a way for us to get back those things from our graveyard after they kill it. And if we can get Razor Hippogriff on a Mimic Vat, then it's usually pretty good too.
Nice.
And and then we also changed some lands. Instead of having mono plains, we put in we have some 2 Buried Ruins so that we can get back our artifacts as well if they get destroyed.
Good call.
And we have Ghost Quarters.
That was highly called for in the comments, I remember.
Yes, so that way we can destroy pesky Moorland Haunts or Inkmoth Nexuses as well. I only have 4 here because getting down the turn 2 Inquisitor Exarch is really important in some matchups like mono red, or to block a Geist of Saint Traft or something. So I've experimented with more, but just not having Inquisitor Exarch down on turn 2 is so painful. But I mean, you can try around with lands on your own if you want to give it a shot. But
yeah.
I don't know. It's tough to work out, because you really want this guy down, but you also really want to destroy that Inkmoth that's pumped by a Wolf Run coming at you for non-poison with a Ghost Quarter. So, it's a balancing act. But anyway, onto the sideboard. It's very different from last time because, like I said, I really want to fine-tune this deck to be able to beat Delver decks and white-blue human decks. So we have 4 Dismembers, so that we have something to do on turn 1 to kill their Delver. It sucks to use, pay 4 life to kill a 1/1, but when that 1/1 flips into a 3/2 flyer and they have 3 mana leaks to back it up, then it's good to have Dismember, I think.
Yes.
And it's also good removal against if mono black Infect decks are still around to kill Skitherix and Phyrexian Crusader very nicely. Porcelain Legionnaire is a really interesting inclusion because
why is he in there?
I was searching around for ways for us in mono white to be able to deal with a Geist of Saint Traft, and that was one of the reasons I put Inquisitor Exarch in there, because he gains you some life, he blocks a Geist of Saint Traft, and he's really nice. But Porcelain Legionnaire also does the same thing, so he comes down and he kills, since he has First Strike, he kills Geist of Saint Traft, and they just can't get through as long as you have a Porcelain Legionnaire down. And since a lot of people aren't playing Gutshot anymore, his 1 toughness isn't really that big of a deal.
Gutshot's already had its heyday, I guess.
Pretty much. And then lastly, we have some Revoke Existences, since, like we said before, lots of other people are running Artifact Hatred in their sideboards. We are as well. It's really our only way of dealing with Runechanter's Pikes and swords and whatnot. But if you're wondering, the reason why these are Revoke Existences and not Divine Offerings, per se, I mean, it sucks that this is a sorcery, but originally these were Divine Offerings, and when I sided them in against, like, Blue-White Delver decks, I had 2 in my hand, and they just didn't have any equipment, and they were just beating me down normally with Delvers and Geist, but they had Oblivion Ringed my Mimic Vat and Oblivion Ringed my Glimmer Point Stag or whatever, and I was like, wow, I wish these were Revoke Existences.
And so, now they are.
Exactly, now they are, so that way it takes care of their Oblivion Rings as well as their equipment. A lot of people don't expect Revoke Existence, so they're not prepared for it either. And also in the Tempered Steel matchup, it can take down their Tempered Steels as well as any other permanent they play. And 4 timely reinforcements, pretty self-explanatory there. So unfortunately, if we do play a Delver deck in the tournament, we usually sideboard out most of the combo. We sideboard out, like, usually all 4 Sundials, some amount of Mortar Pods, maybe a Mimic Vat, and the Master Splicers and Glimmer Points, and usually some of these fatties too. Just because it sucks that we can't really use the combo of Sundial and Mimic Vat and Glimmer Point anymore, but it's just so miserable when you have a handful of these guys and your opponent is beating you down with, they have all their mana untapped, you know they have 3 or 4 mana leaks, and they have 2 Delvers that have flipped and the Geist, and you just need as many answers as possible. So that's what Dismember, Porcelain Legionnaire, Timely, Revoke, Inquisitor, Mortar Pod, Oblivion Ring, Day of Judgment, all of these are just answers to their guys. So hopefully that doesn't happen to us, but we will find out, I suppose. So yeah, that's all the changes we made. We hope you enjoy watching the matches, and we hope we don't go 0-2 in every single one of them.
Oh god, I hope not.
But we'll find out. Alright, let's go.
Let's see.